Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and more. Follow Elliot in the Morning everywhere social at EITM Online.
And welcome our buddy, Mr. Christian Finnegan.
Oh, hooray, it's me.
Hooray, it's you. How weird is this?
Yeah, it's like you're in my house. You're in my world, buddy.
I know, it's very bizarre. No, isn't it? It's weird.
It is very strange. It's weird to do radio in New York, honestly. Because I don't usually. It's always
Are you serious?
It's always when I'm on the road, really. I mean, live radio like this. I mean, usually it's some dude's basement doing a podcast.
Right. No, that I get. But no, it's weird. Like, even when we knew that we were going to be here for the week, we were like, oh my God, let's reach out to Christian. And in my head, at first you go like, yeah, he'll get on the train, not meaning the subway and just come in. But it's so bizarre.
Yeah, and of course.
But I love it.
Yeah, of course, today happened to be the one day where there were like major subway issues.
What was your problem today?
There was some incident somewhere at Fifth Avenue or whatever, and said we rerouted and changed trains and whatever. It's typical New York stuff. It wouldn't even have bothered me if I literally hadn't gotten home from a European vacation yesterday.
When did you get home?
I got home. Finally, I walked into my door around 6:30 last night. So it wasn't like, late at night or whatever, but I'd been gone for 6 days and I was completely blissed out. And, our return home, everything went according to plan, God forbid. And so then to wake up and it was like New York has a way of sort of slapping you in the face like, oh, hey, remember, this is hard. This is hard. And we will make you not like us.
So wait, so you were in
Amsterdam.
Were you really?
I was.
For 6 days?
Uh-huh.
Is that the longest I've ever been there? How long was our layover?
It was hours. It wasn't even a day.
Okay, that's the extent of
well, yeah, and
my
you're not.
experience.
Did you actually go into downtown?
We did.
The red light district.
Yeah, because didn't we? Didn't we have a flight that got canceled?
Eventually, yeah, but we rented the bikes at first.
Yeah, so we rented bikes. So we were going to where? I don't even remember. Oh, we went to Dubai. So the show went to Dubai there was a Dubai Desert Rock Festival. You don't care. So
I care very much. You have no idea that I'm an investor in the Dubai Desert Rock Festival.
Well, I'm sorry that it went out of business.
Oh.
So we had to stop going out, and we rented bikes and went to we just went biking around somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then on the way home, we got delayed again, and we had to spend the night there. Mm-hmm. But there was no time to really do anything.
That's not enough time. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at your watch the whole time, yeah.
Right. I feel like doing the 6 days there, though,
It was awesome. I mean, my wife was supposed to go by herself in March of 2020, and then that got...
what happened?
Nixed. Something, I don't know. Some people got the sniffles. And then it was rescheduled for fall of 2021, right as Delta hit, and so that was rescheduled again. But she had this hotel that she couldn't get a refund on, and so it kept getting pushed and pushed. And this time, I was like, all right, I'm coming with you.
Wait, so she was going to go by herself?
Yeah, I mean, she's like big into ancestry because she's a white lady, and that's what white ladies are into. And she's part Dutch.
There was part of me that was hoping Cambry was coming today.
She actually said to say hello. She just, her business has been closed for the past week, and so she's now trying to shovel out from all her gazillion emails
stuff.
and
I like
stuff
how it's
that.
her business.
Oh, it is. Oh, it very clearly is. It's for people who don't know, which is everyone. My wife owns a little performance venue in Astoria, Queens called QED Astoria.
Right.
And it's our money, but it's her place. I always tell people that she's the mom, and I'm like the stepdad who can take you to McDonald's in a pinch.
Okay.
Like, that's about the level of my responsibility there.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So she was going to go by herself.
Yes, to research her ancestors and spend all the whole time in the library and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, trust me. If you, under threat of violence, you could not get me to research ancestry. I could not care less. I have no interest in that kind of stuff, but she loves it.
And so her whole thing, she was going to go over there. She was going to kind of research
just have it be a library
family.
Kind of trip and whatever.
Is it Amsterdam?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's weird, and here I am talking about it, but she has these relatives who were from Amsterdam, came to New York, and kind of founded like Kingston in upstate, which is a couple hours from here or whatever, and just randomly, she's from Texas, and also there's a part of a Queens where we live that has the same name as a family name of hers, and so it's very strange. And
But
so
that's
she
kind of
felt
cool.
Yeah, she finds like a kinship to it.
So when you decided that you were going to throw your hat into going with her,
Yeah.
was she opposed to it?
No, I think
Because I don't see you spending, and listen, I don't know everything about Christian Finnegan, but I don't feel like I've ever heard you say, oh, you know what? I can't come in and do the show. I'm going to the library.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? I have a lot of respect for libraries. Or, as they say in my Duolingo lessons, biblioteca. No, no, not to research dumb, legal records of so and so bought a cow from so and so in 1642. That's of little
That's
interest
not
to me.
you,
No,
right?
no.
So was it a different trip for her when you went, or did you go do your thing and
at
she
this
did
point,
her
I
thing?
think when we decided that we were going to go together, it became a different trip. Now it's just like couples doing the tourist thing.
Had you been there before?
Never, no.
Was it great for 6 days?
Fantastic. I loved it.
Did you do I'm assuming you did all of like you went to the red light district.
We did. I mean, yes, we did. There's actually kind of a cool app that if you're going to see this thing called Voice Map, and I'm not getting paid, but make me an offer, Voice Map. And you spend like $5 on like an audio tour, and it's GPS sent, it follows you on GPS. And so it brings you from like point to point. And so, because we did a couple of those tour, we did a day tour with the group and the guide and all that too. And that's kind of corny and fun in its own way.
It's fun, but I would be afraid to do that with you.
With me?
No, not because I don't like you, but I would be not what's the right word? I'm not intimidated.
You
But
were worried that I was going to mock you for enjoying it? Is that what it is? All right, you may have a point there. No,
I was gonna because I feel like people on that trip would be the whole tour would turn into. Isn't that Kristen Finnegan?
Oh,
Kristen Finnegan
you'd
is
be
on our
surprised.
tour.
There was one person in Amsterdam who did say that they enjoyed my comedy, which was nice.
Right.
I was not expecting that.
But
not
to
now,
me,
maybe 10 years ago.
But that would be my concern, is that to go someplace with you, again, go to dinner, fine, whatever. But like on a whole tour of something, I just feel like it would all be everybody pointing and whispering.
No, there was zero pointing and zero whispering. No, it was great. We took a day tour out into Edam, which is like where the cheese is made. It's like
cheese.
It's just a little train set of a town, and it's just gorgeous. And we went and did the windmill thing. And
did you really?
Oh, sure, of course. when you go on a European vacation, like you can't be too cool for Amsterdam. Do you know what I mean? Like just do the tourist stuff for like a week.
Oh, I don't mind.
Yeah.
But like when I think of tourist stuff in Amsterdam, like windmills don't come to mind. Now, again, I don't know what I was expecting. We rode a bike around and got Panacoken. What made you sick?
Panacoken, yeah.
Yeah, Panacoken made Tyler vomit on the plane.
Too much honey. Too much honey.
Yeah, it was like a
I'm so
really
sorry.
sweet like pancake or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
But
I wasn't a big pancake guy. The pancakes are a big thing over there.
They're huge.
We had the pancakes, of course, the Stroop waffles.
what is that?
That's like
It's like the one you can get in the convenience store here.
kind of, but
Yeah.
they're better. It's like two thin, sort of very thin waffles with like caramel in between. And so when you bite into
Oh,
it,
I
it
know
has
what
like
you're talking about. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
those are good.
Those are delicious. Bitterballen, which were delicious. They're like these little kind of croquettes. They're like kind of crispy balls that have sort of a kind of a risotto ball taste to it.
I could get into that.
Those are delicious. Yeah, we had all sorts of all the faves. Apple pie. That's their big thing over there. They have apple pie everywhere. You can't avoid apple pie in Amsterdam.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why
like
that
bars,
doesn't.
like pubs, just like, can I get something to eat? We only have apple pie. That's the only thing they have.
Is it good?
It's delicious.
Is it
It's
really?
not every place. I mean, some places like, okay, this is clearly a supermarket, but yeah, the Winkle 43, which is this place
That was your joint?
That's what everybody told us was like, this is the best apple pie you've ever had, and I can't say they're wrong. It was
Good.
delicious.
You know what? Now I'm happy to know that. But like things that come to mind would be like obviously going to like a cannabis bar. But
We
again,
did do that.
You could do that anywhere.
I know that's the appeal
but
of that
it's
is
still
kind of
Amsterdam.
worn off over
I
the-
know,
yeah.
but it's still you're doing it in Amsterdam.
Yes, I got a hash joint, which was I don't know if I'd had before, and it's different.
Is it
different.
really?
Yeah. Your head feels like a balloon for about 90 seconds, and then it calms down. But it's super quick and super intense.
By the way, can I tell you the best thing about New York right now? So I haven't lived here since 1999, and so now being back this week, oh my God, the smell of weed is so good here. It is everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I mean, I can see it being a
it's
real
not just
bummer for
pockets.
people who don't smoke, though.
It's
Yeah,
not just pockets where, like when I lived here, you'd smell it occasionally in some
Right.
places. It is everywhere, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty
awesome.
present. Yeah, it's pretty present. Yeah, it's the idea of going to Amsterdam to smoke weed now, it feels more like you're like, oh, I'll try on the
I can do that
clogs
at
and I'll
home.
smoke
Yeah,
the weed.
right.
You know, it's which we did. We tried on clogs. I don't understand people who like bought clogs. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna use precious suitcase space for clogs because those things are massive. They're ridiculous. Like, how many these idiots who check bags? I have no respect for people who check bags. Check bags. Come on.
You and your wife
Yes.
went for a week and you didn't even check once.
Pack appropriately. Come on. Be economical.
Okay, also,
Plan it out.
but also unfair. That's unfair for you because
We don't kids. Yeah.
No, not even from that standpoint. But you've spent your whole life on the road.
True.
You have spent your whole life on the road.
Yes, a bit of a vagabond, you might say.
No, but that is
Boxcar Willie.
Kerchief.
Incredible Hulk. Just go town to town, helping people, turning into the Hulk.
no. But that's where that's unfair for you because that has been your whole life is that you travel and you
You're
travel
right.
and you travel.
Yes. But I don't understand why you would do that to yourself. Like checking bags is just such a nightmare.
I wish you could see, and it's just around the corner. I wish you could see Diane's suitcase for a week here.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's a week.
It's a week. Okay, all right. It's a week.
I either got tiny for
but
a
you didn't
weekend.
fly here though.
No, we came on the train.
We took a train.
So that's the
But
train.
it's
It's a
like
different.
tiny-
But
tiny
we
for
also
the
didn't do
weekend.
anything. We didn't do anything.
I overpacked. Tiny for the weekend, big for the week.
All right. Okay. Yeah. You're right. I maybe comedian's privilege. Is that what this? Am I displaying privilege right now?
A little bit. So you did clogs. You did weed.
We did clogs. We did weed. Yes.
You did go to the red light district?
Sure. Yeah, we walked around for a little bit, and we did that's we used that voice map tour I was saying.
Oh,
and
okay.
We walked around the Vondel Park, which is like a beautiful park there, and we did all sorts of walking tours. We went to some museums. We did the whole deal.
Is
Anne Frank.
Yeah, that's there, right?
I wish people could have seen the tentative mouthing of the
Because
words Anne Frank.
In my mind, it's there, but
Yes.
but you also don't want to
Our
look.
hotel was like right on down the street from the Anne Frank Museum. That's what we requested.
I want to be near something that doesn't end well.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. They have a beautiful little.
Is it cool?
I mean, cool might not be the right word. Sobering.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mean like do you walk out feeling like I'm ready to take on the world?
It's well done.
But
It's very well done.
It's got to be very cool to see.
It's very well done, and it's super well preserved, and they have like a little museum attached to it, and they have those little things where you have a little thing you hold your ear and you put it against the wall, and then it'll
like
give
talks
you
to you.
Yeah, it'll give you like 45 seconds of information about various rooms and stuff.
Is it?
Same with Rembrandt's house. We went to Rembrandt's house, and that's like beautifully preserved. And
You know what the great thing is? I would not have mouthed Rembrandt there.
Vermeer.
Go back to Anne Frank's house for a second, though. Is it? I mean, obviously, from reading history, and you know the story, and I'm sure there's parts of the story that you don't know.
Yeah, you think
and
you
it
know, and
fills
then you're
in
like,
the
oh, I
blanks.
didn't really know a lot of this at all. But yeah.
But when you're in that house, is it hard to? Well, the answer has to be yes. It's hard to imagine that it's World War II and that Nazis are coming through Amsterdam, and that you're literally hiding up in this. Isn't it like a brownstone?
It's the back part. It's sort of a hidden part of a building above a factory where her father owned. that was then, of course, appropriated by the Germans and whatnot. But they were living in the sort of the back part of the building behind a bookcase.
Right.
And there were like 3 floors, and there were their family, and then there were like 8 or 10 people total living
that were all
this,
in there.
Yeah. And they were there for like, I think, over 2 years. And, it's pretty amazing. And she was just an incredibly gifted writer for like a 14-year-old girl.
Right.
Like she really, and so it was interesting to hear just the perspective of someone who's, going through puberty, and she's a kid, and, but she's talking about her dreams about being a writer someday, and talking about the various people who's nice and who's not nice. And, they're still teenagers, and,
Sure.
and so, yeah, it's super, it's worth doing. It's not super depressing. It's more just kind of humbling, like, wow. What a,
to me, I feel like that would be fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, I feel
Yeah.
like that would be... Now, are you able to... obviously, you're able to appreciate it. You're a very smart person. But are
Extremely.
you... But do you also, like, whisper to Cambry things that you probably shouldn't in that?
Well, of course. Well, honestly, maybe not the Anne Frank house, but I did keep thinking if there's a great Mr. Show sketch. Did you ever watch Mr. Show?
No.
It's like one of my favorite shows of all time, where there was like an MTV Road Rules type show where there were like a bunch of people to Anne Frank house, and they're going around Europe looking for bean bags, like these hidden bean bags, and they're at Anne Frank house like tearing it apart looking for bean bags. But yeah, so that occurred to me quite a bit. I had a lot of fun just with the dumb road signs, and there was one place, a street called Wrecked Boomsloot, and I said, I had too much to drink last night with a Dutch guy, and I woke up with a wrecked boomsloot.
Now, have you performed? I know that this was just vacation. Have you performed there?
Not in Amsterdam. I performed in Ireland and Edinburgh and Australia. Those, I think, are the only real international places I've performed.
Is there a comedy scene in Amsterdam?
Yeah, there's Boom Chicago, which is kind of an historic. I think it's improv, but that's been there forever. And Tom Rhodes was like the David Letterman of Amsterdam for like 10 years.
Totally forgot about him. But no, you're absolutely right. That makes sense. Are you a good vacation person?
I guess it depends. I'm generally a first do no harm kind of person in general. Like, I'm not the kind of person who's going to ruin your vacation, but I'm not the kind of person who's going to have like let's seize the day. Like, I'm not the person who's going to really think outside the box and make a great vacation either. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be the guy who just can kind of roll with things. I like to think I'm pretty adaptable.
So when all this comes together, and like you said, your wife was going, and now it's going to be Christian and Cambry are going, and the whole thing. Do you start plotting stuff out, or no? It's just
that is definitely my wife's sort of mode of thinking. But I think that now that she's so busy, with there's so much going on, that it did kind of make her kind of calm down a little bit. Like, I think in past vacations we felt like we had to more nail everything down, but it's like, we're there. We'll get stuff. I mean, we didn't get to go to the Van Gogh Museum. It's like not even. It's not even the way they say it. Like it's like Van Gogh. But we did not. That was sold out. But that was the only thing that was like straight up sold out.
And those are Van Gogh is Starry Night.
Yes,
Nailed
Starry
it.
Night. Yep.
Nailed it. That's you know
Amongst
what? That's
others.
enough.
That's his
enough.
Stairway to Heaven. That's his Smoke on the Water.
But it's there, right? Like it's in the museum in the Van
we
Gogh.
didn't get in, so I can't tell you.
That would be kind of cool when you go to Rembrandt's house. I can't name a Rembrandt, but is there one I can name?
There's ones you'd recognize probably, but I don't know the names of them either. I mean, there's
Good.
one self-portrait that I recognize. Like, oh yeah, that.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like looking kind of surprised. There's definitely a Rembrandt style that you're like, oh, I've seen that. I've seen that thing. But it's not really my kind of painting.
But that's cool to see.
Absolutely. And it's cool to see like the actual studio, the way it's set up in the house. I guess he was like a house poor guy his entire life. Like he basically got all these investors to give him some money to buy like the most gorgeous mansion in Amsterdam and spent his entire life trying to pay it off and then couldn't and was forced out of it like 20 years later. But it's beautiful. And as a result, and there's and he had a beautiful art studio, and then he had students upstairs theirs with their little, and so that was that's cool. I mean, I do like seeing the way people lived in certain periods of time, but yeah, I mean, and it's just a magical place. We did the dumb canal tour at night. You get on the boat.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I remember the canal. We didn't go on the canal, but I remember riding the bike and you would see it. That's nice, and that's romantic.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place. I have nothing bad to say about it.
I still can't believe you were in
Amsterdam
yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest part to me.
Yeah, I mean, that was...
Do they not have COVID there?
They call it something else. They call it COVID. It was pretty chill there, which, in some ways is concerning, because I know in London, the numbers are skyrocketing again.
Right, but you weren't in London.
Huh?
You weren't in London.
No, but I mean London to Amsterdam. I don't know what the time is, but I would assume it's like here to Ohio,
Queens?
or whatever. It's probably not much further than here to Dayton.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Okay, but if cases were spiking in Dayton, it's not like you were going to walk in here with a mask on.
A very good point. Yes,
Thank you.
Spiking in Dayton. This is my career, spiking in Dayton. But no, I mean it definitely was more chill than maybe I would have expected. But it's kind of it's not unlike New York a little bit. On mass transit, at the airport you put on a mask, and on the plane you put on a mask, and And
then that's it. And then you just get there and you take it off. Good for you. Good for you. It's still so weird to be seeing you here. I love it.
I love it too.
All right,
where are you staying?
Well, we checked out.
Yeah.
Oh, this is your last day.
Yeah.
So sorry. Where were you staying?
The public hotel.
Is that nearby?
The
20 minutes.
Houston and Bowery.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Access to the Lower East Side. Very nice.
All right, give me a quick break. We'll come back more with Christian Finnegan next.
Connect with Elliot in the Morning on Twitter at EITM Online.
Can I ask you about something you mentioned during the break?
Sure.
About Atlanta?
Yeah.
What is a country club gig?
It's a comedian, Paul Ollinger, a very funny dude who is based in Atlanta. He just contacted me a couple months ago, and he is just starting to book occasional shows at this beautiful country club in Buckhead, which is like the nicest part of Atlanta. And he asked me if I'd come down and do a couple shows. And so, I mean, it was weird because it's like you're not trying to promote it because it's literally just for members of the club.
Right.
So there's no pressure. Like usually when you go to a city, you come and you do the morning radio, you're tweeting like I'm in.
Sure. You want to sell tickets.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
that. Whereas
this, you just kind of waltz in and do your show, and you look out in the room and you're like, oh, I have made terrible decisions in my life because clearly you are living on a different plane of existence than I am.
So is it a good crowd?
They were actually a good crowd. They were kind of rowdy. I mean, the one show was a little rowdier than the other. One show was like bordering on too rowdy.
Was it really?
Well, because they all know each other. Do you know what I mean? It was a lot like doing a corporate gig where,
I guess that makes sense. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, they're all club members, and so they all know each other. And so sometimes you get the guy who's like, I'm going to impress all my friends by participating, quote unquote. So there's a little of that. And but they all had a sense of humor, and they were actually surprisingly like hip. I kind of went in expecting it to be very much who needs a cordless telephone, like that. And they were much younger. That's the weird thing is looking out there. It's like, oh, a substantial number of you are younger than I am. That is depressing on many levels. A lot of ladies who lunch, and the just kind of a little bit of a trophy bride situation with some of them. Like you can tell it's like, oh, it's Mr. Hedge Fund guy and his wife who runs the committee or something, the neighborhood committee. But it was fun.
Is that a new is that like you mentioned corporate gigs? Like comedians do that, I get it.
Well, it's not a circuit. Like I had never done that.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah. I'm sure that they exist. I had done shows at country clubs in the past, but as like one-off shows. There's not like you do the country club circuit. But this guy, and he's a smart dude, and I think he could do it. He's trying to maybe create a little bit of a circuit where you could go down for like
makes
2
total
weeks
sense.
and go from like place to place. Because these shows were on Wednesday and Thursday. That's what was so great about it, is that usually it's like it was good money, like better money than I would have got playing a club, and I still had my weekend, so it was pretty sweet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because why would it matter what night it is?
For them, it doesn't.
Yeah, right.
They don't. Yeah.
We were going for dinner anyway.
Yeah, and it's like it's the place they hang out. It's the golf course and the dumb pool and all that. So, am I resentful? Maybe a little.
Are you a big golfer?
Oh my God, no. Good Lord, no. Not unless there's like a giant giraffe I have to go through its legs or something like that. If there's a windmill that I have to go through, then
But what was your sport? Weren't you big into a sport?
basketball. I mean, that's the sport that I actually
You
follow.
follow,
Yes,
right?
that
But did you
yeah.
play?
No, I mean, let's define play.
Like, were you on your high school team?
No, good Lord, no. No. I mean, when I was a kid, I played soccer because where I grew up.
Because you were a kid.
Everybody plays soccer. I mean, that's still true, right? Kids
For
just
the
play
most part,
soccer.
yeah.
It's so weird how it's like every kid plays soccer, and then at a certain point, it was like, I will now no longer care about soccer. Like as a country, we just like there's like a 14-year-old cutoff where it's just like I now not only do I not care about soccer, I don't remember the rules. I don't know who the teams are. I moved on. That is when I was a child, I loved childish things. Or what's that poem? Anyway,
So you played soccer as a kid.
yeah, soccer, and I played football for a couple of years, but I cried too much. I was such a wuss because I was kind of a big kid, bigger, and so they would always. I was like a lineman and stuff, and I was like such a proving ground for any Napoleon complex kid, any small kid with like a chip on his shoulder.
Right.
I was sort of like the rite of passage, like, oh, go make Finnegan cry. That's how you level up as a kid in my hometown.
So you weren't good at football.
No.
Were you encouraged? Like, was the family encouraging you to go do it?
It was
Like,
just
you got to get out and
I think it was just kind of like following the herd, like just kids.
Like all your
did
friends
it, and-
played football, so you
yeah,
were
and
gonna do it
my dad
also.
played football in high school, and so we just kind of assumed I would want to, and I didn't have the self-awareness to be like, I'm an artist. I'm a sensitive guy. So yeah, I just kind of did it, but then by the time high school rolled around, I was completely done with sports.
Because to me, when I think of high school you, and obviously I didn't know you in high school, but high school you to me would be clothes, all music, totally into music.
Later, well, that's also another, I think, thing that people forget. In high school, you're about 3 different people, depending on what year of high school you're talking about. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
In 9th grade, I still had my metal hair, and I was listening to Queensryche, and
Were you
stuff.
really?
Oh yeah, I was heavy into metal and all that. And then by senior year, I was wearing black turtlenecks and my fake John Lennon glasses and my Morrissey pompadour, and I was wearing black on the outside because that's how I felt on the inside. And we evolve. But yeah, I mean, I went to 2 years of performing arts high school, and so
Did I know that?
I don't know. Did you?
I
know.
don't feel like I did.
You were not required to remember my childhood.
No, but I
chronology.
feel like that I would know. I feel like that I would remember.
It probably may have come up at some point. Yeah, my junior and senior year of high school, I went to like a performing arts boarding school, and so it was like the most. Like everything you can imagine, just goth kids. It was what I would always say.
Where's home? Remind me where home is.
Massachusetts.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so you went to regular high school for the first
yes.
2 years.
Yes, and then my last 2 years, I went to this school, and it was. I won't say the word, but I always say the school was divided between prodigies and F-ups.
Right.
Because it was like Taiwan's greatest cellist, 14-year-old cellist, and Keith. Who got kicked out of 3 schools, so I guess that means he's a painter. Like that kind of vibe.
Now, what were you there for?
I went as an actor, but we had majors, and I ended up being a double major between acting and creative writing.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Now, did your parents send you?
Yeah, my dad. There's all sorts of reasons. I kind of needed to get out of my house for various reasons.
Right.
My mom was mentally ill, and it was a
Right.
bad situation, and so I needed to sort of get out of there. And my dad wasn't in a place where I could live with him at the time, and
Sure.
so yeah, I went to this school.
But you don't know, but good coming out of the high school football guy and everything and being able to go to art school, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Oh, it was amazing. It was funny, though, because it's like I always feel like the odd duck. Like, you know, at my public high school, I felt like the weirdest guy in the world. And then when I went to this performing arts boarding school, I felt like such a square. You know, I was like the Bob Saget of the school is how I felt. Well, Bob Saget as he was thought of at the time. Yeah, it's funny now. I used to use Bob Saget as an example. It's like, well, now Bob Saget implies an entirely different thing to an entirely different generation.
I know.
But yeah, when I was a kid, though, like, or in the late '80s, early '90s, you'd use Bob Saget as like shorthand for like square.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Sure. Was there anybody those 2 years that came out that went on to be, other than that, obviously, Taiwan's great cellist?
But in the ballet and classical music world and stuff like that. But as far as
But in the mainstream world, it's you.
Yeah, it's pathetic too. So sad for
And
them.
Keith.
A lot of actors who've worked a lot, but I don't think anybody who's like super famous. I'm trying to think. I can't think now.
You don't go back for reunions for that?
I haven't been back since my career warranted it. I haven't. I won't go during this long period of diminishment. But I think I went back for my 10-year.
Right.
But I mean,
okay,
it's been
it's 10
30 years now. It's like I graduated in 1991, so. I don't know. I mean, I just also, it's like I kind of avoid them because I know it's just the shakedown's coming.
Right.
And
Now-
I have nothing to be shook down from.
Now, so where are we? Like, I think the last time we talked, you had done a comedy special, but you did it in your backyard.
Yeah. I shot a special during the pandemic called Show Your Work, which is now streaming free on Prime Video. You can get it through Apple TV and YouTube and all that, but it is free on Prime Video. And I'm super proud of it. I mean, it's an album too, but the album, you know, I please listen to it. But I think on video, first of all, because there's some documentary elements to the actual special when you
Right.
watch it, which you don't get on the video. And I think the intimacy, because we shot it with 28 people back when everyone was socially
Everything was
distanced
clamped
and
down.
everything was clamped down. And so the vibe, I think, comes through on video a lot more than it does on audio, I think. But yeah, I'm super proud of it. And, in many ways, it's the thing I'm most proud of. But
Are you really?
Yeah.
That one?
I mean, just because it was like something that I did on a whim to try to make myself not go insane during
Right.
2020. And at the time, we kind of all thought that it was just going to be a one-year thing, and it was just something that nobody asked me for. It was just something I decided to do.
Right.
And yeah, still waiting. Still owed some money. Won't get into that.
So now but now that everything's going, like everything's cranked up again?
Everything's, I mean, well, cranked up. It's weird. I mean, the clubs, the weekends are good. Weeknights still are really tough. I mean,
You're talking about like traveling around on the road.
well, or in the city, even clubs in the city. My wife's place.
Right.
That the vibe that I've picked up is that the weekends are great. Fridays and Saturdays are great, but it's been hard on the weeknights. But a lot of it is just the way people's lives have changed. If people are working from home, it used to be it's like, hey, after work we'll go get a drink and then we'll go to see a show. Try to get somebody to put on pants on a Wednesday.
That's fair.
To go see comedy. Like, why?
Right. No, that's fair.
And so I don't think it's fully back where it was, at least during the
But
week.
at least it's heading in the right direction.
You'd think. I mean, everybody, I think, there's a fatalistic kind of thing of like, all right, well, let's see which new variant's coming down the pike or whatever. But no, I think everything's moving. Certainly, the last few months. I mean, there were two false starts. There was the Delta and then Omicron,
Right.
And so it's like hard to really count on anything. And that's been the hard thing.
So like booking anything down like months down the road.
Well, you have to end up canceling things, and and I've been doing some shows. My friends Ophira Eisenberg and Pete Dominic, who are good friends of mine and great comics. My friend Pete Dominic does this politics podcast every week called Stand Up with Pete Dominic, and then during the pandemic, I started doing it with him every Friday. I would come on for an hour, and then Ophira, our friend Ophira, started doing it, and so it was the three of us, and we kind of just we enjoy each other's company, and she used to host a show on NPR for years, and we have kind of similar fan bases to the extent that we have them. And so we've actually been kind of packaging, doing some shows together, which is just kind of a fun thing called under the heading Smart Mouth. And that's kind of something that we're hoping to book more of in the future, because it's mostly stand up, but there's also a kind of a Q&A element to it. But yeah, that's something we're hoping to expand more. But yeah, it is hard, and also all of the people who've been rescheduled and canceled not canceled in a social sense, literally canceled, for the past 2 years. There's a lot of backlog of places being booked.
I got
because you were supposed to be here in 2020, and now we're finally getting around to putting you on the calendar. So it's slow going, but yeah, it's things are headed in the right direction.
And then your wife's place, as we have to refer to it, in Queens, is that doing well?
Again, on the weekends, great.
Weekends, it's great.
Weekdays is still a little tough. But I mean, we've also made some changes. We're now closed Monday and Tuesday, which has just been amazing for our lives, and kind of why didn't we do this? Eventually, we might reopen on Tuesdays, but I mean, we're always going to keep closed on
Monday's
Monday.
closed.
Because it's just, even when she's not physically there, if it's open, she's getting texts. It's just a niggling thing, And so, yeah, I think a lot of people have just sort of adjusted their lifestyles, like, oh, I can take some time off and the world isn't going to collapse in on itself, And so things are just a little different.
Now, can I ask you this? Was Christian Finnegan friendly with Bob Saget?
I did not, never met him. No.
Are you serious?
No.
How have you not met Bob Saget?
I don't know. LA guy. I'm a New York guy,
Okay.
But no, I don't know. Part of me gets annoyed when people die. Every single person has to post the one picture they took with them. It's like, all right, we get it. You met the person.
Okay, but no.
Sorry. That's a me thing. But.
No, but you can understand if it was somebody you were friendly with.
Yes, I agree with that. But no, I never had met Bob Saget. Gilbert Gottfried, I had worked with once, and was a very nice guy. I met him a few times, but seemed like a really nice guy. It is weird, like Bob
that was
Saget,
a quick streak between Bob, Louis, and Gilbert. Yeah.
It's like
three
a
of those.
Specific time period all of comedy, all kind of passing at once. It's very strange.
Was that a big, even though, like you said, you worked with Gilbert a couple of times, you didn't know Bob Saget, does that still kind of even in your group?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I may have met Bob Saget at Montreal once at a festival.
Oh,
once.
just
now
for,
that I'm thinking, but literally, hi, how are you?
At the Just for Laughs festival, yes, Fresh Faces.
New faces. It's called New Faces.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, trust me, not many of those faces are fresh.
But even though you're not close with them,
yeah,
that still reverberates through your world.
Sure. Oh, of course. Absolutely. I mean, it is, yeah, I mean, a lot of people who I'm close with were really devastated by those passings. And so there's a thing that happens again and this is me being a bit cynical.
Christian's going to hate something that I did. Go ahead.
No, but I do think sometimes there are people who will kind of nudge themselves closer to a tragedy as a way to sort of advertise their own emotional depth.
Okay.
And that's maybe just something that I see in my Twitter feed. But a lot of people claiming to be devastated by things they were really just bummed about, and a lot of people claiming to be bummed about things that they really don't have any feelings
just don't
about.
even care about it at all. Right.
Which I understand. We're all kind of promoting this brand of ourselves as interesting people.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, so certainly a lot of people I
shouldn't even ask about Chris Rock then.
Sure, ask away.
No, but weren't you live tweeting the Oscars?
I mean, I sent out 3 tweets. I wasn't live tweeting it per se, but I happened to be watching it
at that moment.
Happened. Yeah.
Because I didn't see it. I wasn't watching it. So until it was the next morning, getting up, when you were watching it live, were you like, "Oh my God, look at this"? Or did you think it was a bit? It
happened so quick. Yeah, there definitely was about 3 minutes until he screamed, the F word twice.
Right.
That's when it was like, oh my God, this is a real thing. Because at first I did think it was just a poorly executed bit.
Right.
Because if that was supposed to be funny, it really wasn't. And it was awkward, and nobody seemed to know what was going on. And I mean, I think there was, a lot of people were complaining about how was he not escorted out of the room immediately? And I agree in theory, but then I put myself in the position. You're in a live broadcast. Like, everybody's just shell-shocked. I'm sure everybody's like, what do we do? What?
Right.
Like, and especially since everybody kind of knew he was going to win Best Actor.
Best Actor, right.
I don't blame anybody. Like, the people who kind of cheered for him, I mean, to me, you know.
Here we go.
No, clearly you can't hit people at an award show. You can't do that. And yes, he should have been removed, and he should have done all those things. But I don't necessarily blame the people physically in the room for not having had the perfect reactions in the moment, because it's a weird scenario.
Yeah, nobody went there that night thinking like sometimes if you go out and you're with friends and you're at a bar, in the back of your head you're like, maybe none of my friends, but there's a chance we may see a fight tonight.
Yeah.
You don't go to the Oscars and think,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? There's a chance we're going to see somebody walk up on stage and slug someone.
Yeah.
That I get. That
Yeah.
makes sense. But yeah, so I don't know how they would have reacted.
I don't know how I would have reacted. I'd like to
In
think
my
I
mind, you
wouldn't have
would have
given him a
rushed.
standing O when he won. Like, that was a little weird. But again, even that, I think, is just herd mentality of just kind of like, we're all giving him a standing ovation, I guess, because this is supposed to mean something, because Will Smith finally won his Oscar, like it's some gold watch that you're supposed to get after 20 years of being a celebrity. But
Excuse me. But now are you close with Chris Rock or no?
we're very close. No. I've met him a couple times. I don't think he would know who I was. I could be wrong. But my interactions with him, to the extent that I've had them, have all made me think this guy is a comic first and a celebrity second. And I mean, that is the biggest compliment in the world.
Sure.
Like, I remember once, sometimes you'll have these audition shows in New York where you're auditioning for a Montreal Comedy Festival or like an HBO thing where they'll just have a litany, like a 16 person lineup of everybody doing 5 minutes, and they're brutal, especially when you show up,
so
when
you're standing
young.
in line with all the other comics waiting
Well, you're
to
in
go
the bar just waiting, and a lot of times you don't even really know what your set time is. At least this is the way. Maybe it's changed, but back when I was kind of a young up and comer, you would show up and you'd be like, oh, I'm 11th out of 18 comedians, and be like, I am so screwed. Because first of all, the shows are always terrible because everyone is just reciting their 5 minutes. Nobody's in the room, nobody's messing around, because you're basically just presenting your 5 minutes that you want to get.
So is there even a crowd in the
There is, but they're having a terrible time because they're just watching people recite comedy. Do you know what I mean? There's not that same feeling of kind of interaction.
It's a show
I mean, not that necessarily that you need to do a ton of crowd work, but there's ways of being in the room even if you're not doing crowd work, and nobody is in the room. Everybody is just doing their little recital.
very polished 5 minutes of comedy.
And
Thank you for coming.
It looks like they might as well be, performing in a room by themselves, like Rupert Pupkin style. But so those shows are always brutal. And I remember Chris Rock showing up to one of them once, and of course they're going to put Chris Rock on. Like, you'd get, as a manager, you get fired if you didn't put Chris Rock on. But the manager, I remember saying, like, hey man, do whatever you want to do, but just this is, we're doing a Montreal audition tonight and we have a lot of comics. And he got up, he did 10 tight minutes, got the hell off the stage. And I just remember thinking, like, because there's a lot of comedians, a laundry list of comedians who would not only not take that into account, they would lean into it further as kind of like a swinging dong kind of thing. Like, look how powerful I am. I'm going to push off everybody.
What's going to be a big moment for all of you? I'm going to suck up the room.
Exactly. And I mean, I remember when that happened, like, immediately. I mean, he was one of the reasons I started doing comedy.
Oh, no kidding.
Bring
really?
the Pain. Yeah, there was kind of a period when after college, and I'd worked in publishing for a couple of years, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I kind of was lost is not the right word, but I was just in my mid-20s and like, what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and around that time I saw Bring the Pain, and I saw the original UCB Upright Citizens Brigade do a show, and it was still like Amy Poehler and the original four.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, oh, comedy. Like, it hadn't even really occurred to me. And so, yeah, I mean, in the Ben Stiller show, which was a big deal to me at the time, and still is. But anyway, so I've always had a massive soft spot for Chris Rock.
That's awesome. All right, last thing that I need to ask you
Sorry,
about.
yeah, I'm babbling.
New music for olds?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Of course, if you're listening, I was listening out in the lobby. If you're listening to Elliot, you may not need it because you're up on the latest sounds. But yeah, it's a newsletter I just started about 2 months ago. Because I just listen to a lot of music. A lot of people my age don't.
Right.
They have kids, they have lives. They get beaten down. And at a certain point, there is a gatekeeping element to a lot of like music blogs and stuff. And they act like if you don't know reference X, Y, and Z, and if you don't know the 50 songs you need to hear by the end of this afternoon, and there's just that overwhelming, and a lot of people just check out. And with Spotify and with all these algorithms, you can pretty much listen to the music you were listening to when you graduated high school for your entire life,
Sure.
And so I just know a lot of people who are music heads or used to be music heads who just don't have the time anymore.
Right.
And I
but
do.
You've always been a music head.
And also, one of the upsides of the sort of hell world that we live in now is for all the ways that a lot of the algorithms are bad for music.
Right.
One of the good things is that it's really easy to just constantly immerse yourself in new stuff and to have a new favorite song every month or so. A song that you want to listen to 10 times an hour for a few days, and then
right.
Whatever. And that I find makes my life better when I have like a new song I'm into. And when I'm walking the dogs and stuff like that. And so I do a lot of just random clickings. Like I do read music blogs, but a lot of it is just going through new release sections and like, what does this sound like?
I just like that you say nobody's got time to do that. Well, I do.
I do. I don't have kids. I don't have a job, really. Not the way other people have jobs. And so I just started writing this newsletter. It's every other week for free subscribers, and then paid subscribers get it every week.
Right.
And they're a little different. The paid subscriber one is a little different. But it's just a few songs. It's 3 songs. Some thoughts on them, why I think they're worth listening to, and then a couple sections of sort of not, kind of comedy, music-related comedy.
Right. Well, dude, I'm so glad. I feel like I need to plug something because I feel like every time I see you, I'm like, oh, go see Christian.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Well,
but now you're just in the neighborhood.
Yes, but yeah, I will. Please, I would love for people to read it because it definitely kind of helps me feel encouraged to write it. It's just newmusicforolds.substack.com.
Got it. And then when visiting Astoria, go to QED.
QED Astoria. Yeah, if you're in New York, check out QEDAstoria.com. It's a lot of comedy, but also storytelling, like Oscar watch parties, events, and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Christian, thank you so much for coming in.
Dude, always a pleasure.